For post-colonialists, colonialism is the gravest sin of all. And Israel today is perceived as the last example of a colonialist project. For post-nationalists, nationalism is misunderstood or not understood at all, and Israel is perceived as an ethnic nation state that insists on remaining a nation state of a certain people. For critics of the West, Israel is taken to be the last place in which whites are, as it were, carrying out violence or subjugation against non-whites. These things add up, and Israel is perceived as the epitome of Western dominance and sin against the non-West. Now, in a climate of harsh criticism against the West, against Western Enlightenment values, against Western progressive values, Israel is taken to be now as the gravest manifestation of Western values and Western being. As such, it has to be destroyed. Now, there's an interesting thing happening here. Jews were always considered the pariah on the periphery of the community, the other, the perfect non-Christian minority that threatened Christendom threatened the values, the purity of the race, whatever. Now Jews are considered the root of the West, the very epitome, the very manifestation of Westernism. And the West here wants to cleanse itself of itself. And it uses the Jew as a scapegoat. It uses the Jew as something to sacrifice in order for itself to be redeemed of its original sin, the sin of colonialism, the sin of white subjugation of non-whites. The Jew here is again crucified for the sins of others, this time in an attempt of the West to cleanse itself of itself. Western self-hatred, Western self-criticism has become so prevalent in the circles of the radical left that an attempt has to be made for self-redemption, for the salvation of the West from itself. And the Jews are taken here, Israel is taken here as the manifestation of Western existence, and thus has to be eradicated, has to be destroyed in order for the West itself to be redeemed. In a way that makes this anti-Semitism a new kind of anti-Semitism, because if anti-Semitism was always taking the Jew as an other, as the minority on the periphery that we need to exclude from ourselves in order to be pure, here the Jew is the father. The Jew is something that is taken to be the root of the West, and in an act of patricide has to be killed, has to be demolished, has to be destroyed. This is a new kind of anti-Semitism in the way that the Jew is treated as part of the West and not as a foreigner for the West.